Today I want to talk about 3 common cover design fails. 3 things that as an indie author you can look at these criterias really objectively and say, is my cover design that I have gotten or that I'm trying to do myself, is it working on this particular level? That's why I'm breaking it down. I'm not doing this to be snarky. I'm doing this because these are mistakes that I have made in the past that I want you to learn from. And I hope that they are helpful. All right. So I did a quick TikTok on this earlier. If you want to follow me on TikTok, I'm at Zoe York Writes there. I'm Zoe York Writes everywhere, Facebook, Twitter, here, and on TikTok now too. So I listed them really briefly on TikTok because you got a minute. Here, we've got a bit more time, so let's dig into it. Number 1, author name brand. So often on covers, you will see a title in like a pretty font, and then you'll see an author name maybe in a more serious font or a more simple font, sometimes in an equally pretty font as the title. But the mistake that is made is that the author name is not treated as a brand stamp, which is how you should treat it, and instead it's treated as just another piece of text on the page. And it's not just another piece of text. Ideally, what you want is for your name to carry across all of your books, so that and be recognizable enough so that the second, even if your name isn't necessarily immediately recognizable to readers for the 2 words or 3 words or 2 letters in a last name, or however you're presenting your author name, one name, you want it to be the same on every single book, so that there starts to become that visual, like object recognition, even if it's before name recognition, if that makes sense. One way that you can help that along is by having a really consistent name brand. Now, if you're with traditional publishers and you move from one publisher to another, you might not be able to control that. That's okay. But we're talking about like for your indie stuff, or if you get to the point in a trad career where you can control that through negotiations, you want to do it. Because if you go and you look at somebody like James Patterson or Nora Roberts, their name's huge on the cover. That's the other thing, is that often author names are really small. And I certainly do that myself. Like, here we go. Put that there. Okay, so like on my Ainsley Booth books, for example, my name isn't huge. I don't do the double stack. And not that it's not that I really like a double stack name. It's just it has not been the name brand that I have chosen for my 2 personas. But they are consistent. I always have Zoe York. This is Trebuchet font, and this is a Wiener. And I picked those 2 because they looked like really clean and modern, which is how I try to present my brand. But you could do it like a sans serif font. You can even do a script font. There are lots of authors who pull off a name brand in like a nice script font, or for people who write historical, one that has lots of little extra doodads and swirls and stuff like that. That's great. Like if you can, but just whatever it is, you want to think about, what does your name look like when you put it on a teaser graphic? What does your name look like when you put it on a Facebook cover photo? What does your name look like when you put it on, 3 different books across 3 different series? Is that tight and cohesive and tying them together? Number 1 fail is people don't put that much thought into what their name looks like at the bottom of the book. And this is one of those things that you can fake it till you make it. Make your name big from the very beginning. Number 2, the second cover fail that I see way too often is that covers are just too derivative. They're too generic. They are literally an image, a title, a name. This ties into the fact that the name itself doesn't pop as a brand stamp, but it also goes to, like, for example, if you have a couple clinching on one book and then a man chest on another, and I'm not talking about 2 different series, I'm talking about like maybe like next to each other, or they're 2 standalones, and there's nothing tying them together. You're just trying to make them look like the genre, right? If you are slavish to the fact that this book should represent the genre, and you forget to also represent your brand, then they will look generic. That's exactly what that means. So you kind of want to make sure that you're achieving both communicating what the genre is, and within that, carving out your own house style for what covers should look like, right? So name brand is part of that, but also, you know, title styles and the type of image that you choose. Here's a really common one. I'll see a series that has, you know, like multiple couples, and they use the filter that is already on the photo when they grab the stock photo. So one will be kind of a cool tone, and one will be a warm tone, and one will be kind of oversaturated or like have cross-process filter on it. And they don't look the same. There's no cohesion there. And so they all look kind of generic or derivative and just, oh, they're just another contemporary romance. And think about what you're telling readers with that promise. And then the third one, and this is really tricky because it's kind of hard to explain. But the third one is that some of the elements on the cover are just in the wrong place. And you don't know that until you ask yourself, are all the elements on the cover in the right place? And one way to figure this out is to do an array. So on my Romance Your Brand website, I think it's romanceyourbrand.com/worksheets, I have an example. It's literally just a bunch of black boxes in a row. But I have an example of what I think you should do. So you should take your cover and you should surround it with a screenshot of, or like take a screenshot of the bestseller list, and then put your cover over one of those covers. And just start to think, is the title in a similar location, a similar size? Is your author brand stamp, your author name, is it similar location, similar size? The focal point of the image, is it in the similar, is it set up similarly? Or is your author name too close to the bottom of the page? Is the title squished in the wrong spot? Is there black space on the cover, but your title is over a busier part of the image? Like that black space is probably where that title should go, right? So if you could nudge it, it would look more cohesive to the eye. But then here's the thing. Here's the other thing I want you to think about doing. There is something called a Fibonacci sequence. It's also called the golden ratio, and it is the shape of a seashell. And if you take, and this is a mathematical thing, the Fibonacci sequence exists like it's the shape of a galaxy, it's the shape of a leaf unfurling. We see it over and over again, the curl of a big wave. And it is one of the most beautiful things to the human eye. So if you can design a cover that matches the unfurling of a leaf or the turn of a shell, or have two of those. So like if you have a rectangular cover, right? If you have a rectangular cover. So if you think, what does a spiral look like? And it ends right here, then this is in the right spot. If you made this couple smaller and you had that embrace right here and then dead space above them, then that might look like they weren't the right size, right? You might look at that and go, is there something wrong with that cover? So the Fibonacci, so if you take a Fibonacci spiral, which you can find on the internet, and you overlay it over your cover, you can literally nudge, if you are doing your own covers, nudge things until they align with the point. So if the spiral goes like this, right, you want to make sure that you're kind of, all of your elements are intersecting with the spiral shape. The other thing to consider, if the Fibonacci sequence, if I lost you at spiral, the other thing you can look up is a rule of thirds. So let's just grab a different cover, right? So a rule of thirds would be dividing your book, and it works literally on any shape, into 9 quadrants, right? So 1, 2, like, so there's 1, 2, 3, and then vertically 1, 2, 3 equal. And you kind of want to have your visual elements on those points. There, right, there, and there. That's right. Yeah, that's right. So here and here. is where you want your visual elements to line up, and then centering and that sort of thing. But if you overlay it, and you don't even have to understand like exactly where it should fit on the grid. Just if you put that overlay on, then you start moving your layers around underneath it. You're like, oh, wait a second. Oh, how does that look better? It's because we are conditioned to look for familiar patterns and shapes. So there you go. There are my 3 tips. 1, author names on covers should look better, period. 2, don't make your covers too derivative. And 3, make sure that all the elements on your book cover are in the right place. All right, that is my top 3 thoughts on cover fails. I will be back again another day with another video, thoughts on publishing, marketing, book cover design. If you like what I have to say in this video, please subscribe to my channel, leave comments and questions, and I will try to answer them either in a video or just in a direct reply. I read all the comments on the video, so I will reply and give you my thoughts. And that is that. Thank you so much for checking out this video. It was nice to talk about publishing again with you. Wait, I'm back with a postscript. Okay, so what I do after I do a video is I take a photograph of myself. I'm like sitting here on my phone. I just say, you know, I put the timer on and then I go like that, like this. So if you see my thumbnails on YouTube, it's usually me going like this, like that. Not without the sound. You can't see the sound. The sound is weird. And the thing is that when I go to take that picture, just because, you know, I don't know where I don't know about all the different ways that YouTube crops or whatever. When I'm doing the video, I sit like this in the middle of the screen. And then when I go to take the picture, I go like this. Which is in itself me automatically, because I can see myself, me automatically trying to improve that Fibonacci sequence. So if you have ever caught yourself doing that, trying to like compose a photo so that you're kind of like here or here or here, sorry, here or here or here or here, if you've ever done that, you already get that Fibonacci thing. Like you don't need to understand it like actually, you just need to kind of get the gist of it. There you go. So anyway, that's my postscript. I'm tacking this on to the end. Subscribe, like, share, tell a friend. I've got lots of opinions about covers, and send them my way if they want to disagree with me. Thanks so much.